Hello and welcome to episode 20 of New Meta. We're your favourite Dota podcast, and we've reached out of the 10s and into the 20s with this special Tuesday episode, fortnightly Tuesday episode. Got a interesting and perhaps commonly asked for topic today. We're going to be talking about climbing MMR and how it changes as you change your own MMR. So what's it like climbing out of 1k, out of 2k? How does it change out of 3k, etc., etc.? And basically the building blocks, starting low and building high, of what you're going to need to gain MMR. Joining me, as always, Marco and Adam. Marco, welcome to the pod. Welcome to EP 20.
Woot. We're into the 20s.
Yeah.
Much cleaner.
Yeah, it's nice now. You don't have to worry about those awkward teenage years. You can just... Life's out ahead of you now.
Yeah. Got some independence. Exploring the world feels good.
Adam, likewise, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Our baby is at university now.
Yeah. I'm glad you said university and not college. You've bowed down to the 2-to-1 ratio of EU versus NA on this
I'm outvoted.
podcast.
I just figure best to just conform instead of getting a, what's college?
Yeah. So, a couple of things to do before we jump into the topic. Just wondering about Dota in our own selfish ways. Marco, you've been keen to jump into some decent pubs recently because of the major, right? How's your Dota been going recently?
So Friday was a fat sesh. I think I went net -1 altogether, but it was a really fun day because I keep getting thrown into these really high ranked games as the super shit player. And yeah, because of the Paris major, it's super exciting because all the pros are just practicing in pubs, but then you've got all the different regions coming together, not just EU players, but NA and C in China. So often there's been a lot of exciting pubs, and I'm hoping to continue that trend today, tomorrow, and through the week.
Got your first TI winner in a game.
Yeah, I don't know if I can't remember when we last recorded, but yeah, played a game with Matu. That was super cool.
Matumba Man Veno, he gave you a signature green hero and carried you to some MMR.
Yeah, he was pretty good. Like
I need that replay. I need to check out that replay.
We kind of smashed it. It was a draft win, really. We had a draw lineup, basically. We won the game thrown in like 24 minutes or something. But there was a couple moments you could tell where he just just mechanically schooled the enemy heroes. That was pretty cool to see. Pretty fun to play with. It was a nice clean game. Another notable one was playing with Solo, who's actually like a low 6k player anyway, so it wasn't a high ranked game relative to where I am. So I got VP Solo playing 5, which is dead silent, whilst me and 3 other Russians were like chatting on mic all game. Everyone was like, Comrade Solo, come do this, come do that. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, Solo's a funny one because I watched a Gork video the other day where he's with Solo and he's sort of like, what rank is he, do you know? Solo's
it's 1.6.
Like 1.6?
1.5 to 1.6, yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny. So Gork's like, he's 1.5 to 1.6, but as a Dota player, he's just so tilted towards captain's mode, 5v5, that it's like unreal. He was like, he's maybe the worst pubber of pro Dota, but arguably the best position 5.
It's so broken to be on his team though, because he's just this one like low 6k player, so whatever, like, but in reality, he's way better than that. So it's just kind of like having a smurf on your team.
Yeah. Also, heroes, I noticed you dust off the new Willow. Been getting some 4 Willow games in.
I've been trying to, yeah. I've played a couple. Really fun hero.
It's because you've been lumped on support in all these games.
Yeah, too many position 5s. Trying to squeeze in some position 4.
Yeah. Adam, you been up to much Dota-wise? How have your games been going?
They've been pretty standard, I guess. I have been getting to play a little bit of Alchemist, give everybody Ags. So that's been fun. I've had a couple of those games. Get to be Alch mid, and then just go Radiance, and then after that, give everyone else an Ags before you get another item.
Has it been successful?
Yeah, I think it's two. I'm 2-0 combined KDA 14-2 and 24. So 1,000 GPM both games.
Wow, I don't think I've ever had that in a game that hasn't involved DCs and abandons. 1,000 GPM.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun because you just give like a. I'll just see what my. Let's see. I gave a safe lane Faceless Void a 17-minute ags, and it's just like we get the team fight constantly now, and then you just follow it up like, all right, here you go, Skywrath Mage, 20-minute ags. Here you go, Disruptor, 23-minute ags. Here you go, Kunkka, 27-minute ags. Like, just it's a lot.
That's such a good feeling because I feel like whenever I play with a Faceless Void, I always want them to build ags, and then I'm Alchemist, I can just get the ags for him. It's the dream.
Yeah, it is the dream.
I feel like Alchemist is low-key a really strong hero at the moment.
Yeah, he's very strong. It doesn't even matter. Like, I did get kind of lucky with the lanes. Like, that game, I was against a Dragon Knight, and he can't do anything. We just trade farm. Nice, yeah. And then the first game was against a Viper, but it really doesn't matter because you just jungle. Just do your little rotation. I think it's really strong on Radiant. Actually, it's actually really strong on both sides because Dire gets the really OP double camp with the acid spray.
Yeah.
With the easy camp and the medium camp. And the easy camps are like the greatest thing ever for Alk. It's like that 5
the
with
5
that Cobalt camp.
Yeah.
Or like the one guy that wants to see golems, basically.
Yeah. My games have been going pretty average, I think.
It seems like been a bit on the up.
Bit on the up since the last pod, perhaps. Won a couple of games this morning. I played Drow Ranger after looking at someone on my friend's profile who just got Divine 5 after playing, I think, 11 games of Drow in a row and winning 10 of them. And I was like, wait a second. That was what tipped me. I was like, why don't... I just remembered something. Drow one-shots Ancients. Why don't I just do that? And then I did it, and then I won, and it was really easy. So that was a nice little free win. And then also had a Chaos Knight win as well, which was quite fun.
Can I make a comment about winning games with Dro? I don't want us to go down a rabbit hole when we've got a big topic to talk about. Is that allowed? My point about Dro, don't like winning games for fun. The hero's win condition's so easy relative to most heroes because if you're against a Dro lineup, it's up to the enemy to don't shit in your face, be active, ganking, getting kills, squeezing the map. It's kind of hard to execute, but then you play Dro, it's just don't die and hit creep. You can't even go wrong with your CS because you'll one-shot them. Yeah. Get some items. When a team fight happens, just be in the back line, don't die, and right-click, and you've won the 90 games. Throw out a gust. It's like a hard to miss spell, like so easy to execute. Oh man. Anyway.
Yeah. No, I dipped my feet in there today, and it was fruitful to say the least.
Dipped your feet in.
Yeah,
fruitful to say the least.
Yeah.
Pool of mangoes.
Maybe I should be spamming that. I've just been spamming Oracle, but
yeah, man. Drow. Finally, fun little thing. MDL Paris predictions. I want to hear your team that's going to take it down. Wait, I don't know what stage of the tournament it will be next pod, but it will be so deep that there'll only be 3 teams left or something. I want to hear it. Who have you got for the major? Marco?
And who's going to win it?
Yep.
Obviously EG.
Adam?
Easy.
So we're not going to say the top 3?
You can do top 3 then. Go on then. Do top 3. Who's your top 3?
I was going to say EG as well, but if I had to throw in 2 other teams, probably be Secret and then one of the 2 between Vici or LGD, I would think.
EG are playing Liquid in the upper bracket round 1. That's pretty grim, but they'll knock them out. Then they'll knock out Vici. Then they'll knock out VP. So it's going to be EG1, VP2, LGD3.
Interesting. Y'all tripping. I'm going with Secret first. Then I'm going with Vici. Then I'm going with VP.
Soft hands Vici Gaming.
Yeah, the softest hands in professional Dota, Vici Gaming. I feel like we have to explain that. Basically, I have personally touched the hands of each Avicii Gaming player, Paparazzi, Ori, Yang, Fade, and DY. I caress their hands as they walk past me in Stockholm, and I can report confidently that they have the softest hands in professional Dota. I don't know what soap they use, but it's some weird Chinese magic, I'll tell you that. Yeah, I think they're going to be top 2 for sure. I'm confident they're going to be top 2, and can't look past Secret either. So, with that out of the way, how to climb MMR. What a better place to start than 1K, 1,000 MMR. I think, what's the lowest MMR you two have been at ever? Just for context for the listener, because I might be the only person that's ever been a 1K player.
For me, I guess, was MMR always a thing? I don't think it was, right?
I think it was.
Like, it wasn't ever it wasn't always shown.
Wasn't always shown.
I think. So
Maybe.
When I did calibrate, it was 3.3, I think. But I had been playing for a while before that.
Yeah, and Marco, you're from Dota 1, so I presume before Dota 2 was even out, you were already had some decent experience.
Yeah, my first account on Dota was calibrated at, I think, 4.7 to 4.8, and then I restarted a new account after a few years because I was like, I want a clean account with try-hard stats and all that. And when I calibrated that, eventually it was 4.8.
I think that was the highest it could calibrate. I think
it would have been nearabouts at the time. This is like 7 years ago or something.
Because I have a feeling the highest you can calibrate now is like 3.5 or something.
I've heard that from maybe you, or I don't know.
Anyway, so yeah, I calibrated at 1.7. So actually, that's not true. I think I calibrated at 1.9, then lost 200 MMR, troughed at 1.7, and then kept going. So have come from the promised land, the true trench of 1K. Although 0K is something that Herald Gaming, something that even I cannot attest to. So even I don't have that feather in my cap. But in terms of going from 1K to 2K, I think there's two ways to look at it. One is like a new player who will often calibrate like me in 1K.
That's the way I was looking at it, FYI.
Yeah, that is the way that we'll look at it because it's just a lot easier and more common, I'd imagine. So if you've got a 1K player that's relatively new, perhaps, what are you doing, Marco? Go on.
So the first big point I would make, you're a new player, I would honestly... So with heroes and spells, okay, going to come with experience. Everyone has to recognize there's a huge, steep learning curve. But the first thing I'd say to do would be to jump into bot games and maybe start off easy, and just when they get too easy, just climb the difficulty level. Jump into a bot game, play any hero that there is, and I think just focus on last hitting and denying creeps. Literally is for your first objective of playing the game, and just get comfortable with that idea, get used to the timings, and how does this attack animation of this whatever hero line up with CS? All right, just honestly learn to last hit creep, and you'll get XP and gold, and then you'll buy some random items that are suggested, and maybe you'll practice them, or you'll see some spells used in these games that you farm. But that was really my first point, would be to bot games and then practice CS.
So yeah, Marco's gone for the like robotic fun is nothing, MMR is everything.
I think it'd be fun to play bot games because I
totally agree. It's fun to play bot games. That's for sure. I think we'd all be in agreement. If you're 1K trying to climb out of 1K, whether or not you're a experienced quote unquote player or not, or whether you're a totally new player, play bot games to learn what the spells do.
But I mean, I am thinking of this question from you're really new to the game.
Yeah.
Jumping into unranked or even ranked when you're new to the game often is a horrible experience, particularly when you're really bad and just going to get slapped. I also think about my own experience of I genuinely played loads of bot games. You get familiar with heroes as you accumulate hours played, but then just the mechanics you can learn better, I think, in these easy bot games because you're not getting slapped or by more experienced players like pressuring you or just stomping you. You can just focus on one aspect at a time, which I think will be a common theme throughout this podcast. So yeah, you're playing really easy bots, and therefore you can just focus on, all right, what does it mean to last hit? How do I do it? Okay, I do it correctly. All right, practice. I honestly really think that would be super productive.
For sure, we're not in disagreement that bot games is the way to go. I play bot games like quite a lot myself. Like I love a good bot game. It's an easy dose. Adam, do you have any thoughts about 1K? Any particular thing you'd say about climbing out of 1K?
No, so I think if you are brand new, there's a lot of value in playing the bot games for learning new heroes, just to like get yourself comfortable with animations of casting spells and just everything about your hero.
Literally clicking your hero around and controlling it.
Turn rate, all that little stuff, move speed. But then if you are going to play some ranked games, what I ended up doing was I kind of just played Lich. That's what. So I like started playing Dota, and my friend was like, "Play Lich. That's really easy." And then we would play real games together, and I just played Lich like 60 games in a row, which I wouldn't recommend that, but that's another way of looking at learning the game, is that if you play the same thing every time, you are learning. You're keeping that variable constant, and then you can like look at all the other heroes that are in the game and learn that way.
Exactly.
What your opponents are picking, and then that's how you kind of learn the map. That way, learn different like I guess timings of the game. But then it comes to a point where you probably should play something else. So I don't know. I think if you're going to play ranked, maybe just focus on a few heroes that you think are cool, and maybe try and learn those. But then if you're wanting to expand, I would just stick with unranked or bot games.
Yeah, no, I would say what Marcus said about how you need hundreds of games to get anywhere. Well, I mean, because of this learning curve, there's definitely ways to limit the amount of variables you're going to run into, and one of them, like Adam has just said, is play the same hero a bunch. Like if there was a player that wasn't sure what all the heroes did or what all the spells do, which is loads of players, right? Especially in this bracket that we're talking about now, sort of 1K upwards to 2K. Play the same hero a bunch, because it just limits the amount of stuff you've got going on. If you're new to the game, thinking and learning each individual spell when you jump into a new hero, that in itself is like almost a game's worth of getting used to and learning and stuff. It's so much easier to concentrate on other things, like how my spell interacts with these different heroes that are running at me, or all of that, if you just play the same hero. Like, I'm the same as you. I played Wind Ranger a bunch when I first started. I just played a bunch of Wind Ranger because I thought it was cool, because it had a skill shot. That was literally it. And that's just a great thing to try and to do. And again, bot games is the same reason, right? You eliminate the human variable of all chat or getting flamed or getting stomped, like all these things that are going to be detrimental to you.
Yeah, I think the bot games are when you are really new to the game and you need to learn these really basic mechanics. I think it is best to do that in this easy battleground where you're against some retarded bots, rather than some competitive game with more experienced players.
Yeah, but then of course, to get out of 1K, you're going to have to play ranked.
Oh yeah, then you come. So I'd also agree with your points of playing, say, one hero for a bit. Like, don't just play one hero then a new hero. If you're playing a hero, play it until you are very comfortable with what every spell does and how you should be using them in fights, what they do, how they synergize. Do I use this, like this stun, then this spell, or play the hero until you can understand how its skill set is to be used just on your own basic vacuum level, and then go to the next hero only once you've like conquered one.
Yeah, another thing that I just say to throw out there as well, before you even play Dota, there are resources out there that will boost you to give you more than enough understanding. Like, I love that Purge does some great videos, like YouTube series, about just the absolute basics. This is if you're literally a new player and you don't understand like what gold and experience even do. But I don't think I think all of our listeners are beyond that, so I won't dwell on that. But there are plenty of resources out there, and just consuming Dota content when you're 1K to 2K, just like consuming Dota content, no matter what it is all going to feed into that experience that will just naturally make you more comfortable with the game and make you learn what spells do and how heroes interact and all of this stuff. So surround yourself in as much Dota, I suppose, as possible, and you'll naturally soak up information.
Madam?
Just to add to the bots versus real games, I think I kind of view bot games as a way to learn your hero, and then real games as a way to experience other heroes. As in, like, your hero against a real human element. It's like the very bot game is like the absolute basics.
Yeah, the bots play the same heroes every time as well.
Right, and then you need to take that to the next level and understand how it is against a human element. So, and then unranked is somewhere in between.
Yeah. But I'm just re-emphasize the point that I think bot games are great to first go into for is to get familiar with the mechanics of last hitting creep and denying creep. Because I think if you get comfortable and familiar and ingrain that in your brain from step one and then play every game with that like as default, I need to get every last hit and deny I can, irrespective of what hero I am or what heroes the enemies are, I think that will really boost you majorly. Like, I don't think you should, if you're new to the game of Dota, and I don't think you should try and get better at the game from the start point, or try and tackle the steep learning curve without the like conscious effort of I need to know how to successfully last hit a creep, because then I think you're just going to stunt your own like growth.
I know what you mean, but like as long as you know how to get gold by getting the last hit on a creep,
but you have to practice that.
Huh?
You have to practice, and
that's a more higher level thing for me.
What
than
literally
1K, 2K.
practicing the concept
CS.
of killing creep. I'm just meaning the laning stage. Like, you go in a bot game and you don't need to worry about spells and stuff slapping your face. You can just focus on literally playing this game of last hit creep, because then you ingrain it in your head and you then take it with every game you play in the real world.
I think people 1K to 2K, they've got more things to worry about than how good they are at CSing. I don't know. I didn't care about how good I was at CS until I was like 3K, and even then, I mean, it's something that I think about now more than I have ever before.
So 1 and 2K, you should focus on fun, right?
I think so, and just knowing what spells do. Like, I don't think if you run in with a random item that you brought from a guide and don't use your spells, I mean,
I just feel like it's so dry to be like that new to the game and just sweaty focusing on last hitting from the very beginning.
I'm not saying spend 100 hours in a bot game just CSing creep. I'm saying like just like the first few days, because when you're in these bot games, you're still going to be learning spells and learning heroes. I'm just saying that your first thought should be, okay, the absolute core premise to Dota is that creeps spawn every 30 seconds and you kill them for gold XP. Let's maximize how many we kill and deny, and you're setting yourself on for like.
But in terms of where you should put your energy if you're new to the game, I don't think you should put it into practicing getting really exceptional, or like not even exceptional.
I'm literally just talking about laning. Just go into a lane and hitting creep successfully.
But that's what people will try anyway in a game.
They absolutely won't. You've yourself said like last week, I just started focusing on my CS in the mid lane and it went way better.
I'm trying to climb from 4K to 5K. That's kind of my point.
Yeah, so if someone is new to Dota and like starts with the concept of, if I can like last hit creep and realize how important that is to the game and to every single game, and meanwhile you only get experience of heroes and spells and matchups and synergies through just mass games, right? Well, if you've got like the basic of creeping just in a lane, not on about like fancy stuff like movement in jungle or whatever, just literally in your creep lane, if you like tackle that to some success, you'll then grow the experience of heroes and spells over time as well, and you'll be in great stead.
Okay.
Okay, say you calibrate, you're a new player, and you calibrate 1 to 2K. I mean, what if you don't want to rank up, right? I'm trying to think of the audience. It's like,
what do you mean?
The audience of this episode, we're talking about people that are 1 to 2K that want to climb, basically, is who we're talking to.
Yeah. Which is, we can assume that's everyone. I don't think there's many people that want to stay at 1 to 2K. Unless they just don't, if they don't play ranked. If they just,
right.
Yeah, if they just play unranked, then yeah.
Okay, well, the other thing is, how long do you think it takes you until you, like, learn the game at a basic level of, like, heroes, spells? I'm talking, like, I think, like, the first 1,000 hours is basically a tutorial. I don't know if that's too overkill, but
depends. Depends what you mean. I mean,
like familiarity with every hero and every spell,
or
and
just
how
like, or maybe
synergize.
my first account, my Lich account, like that was 330 matches, and then that's probably enough. That's when I was like, okay, now I want to play on like I started my real account, like I want to play and have all these stats and stuff after I've learned the heroes. Now it's not me just like losing on all these heroes because I didn't know what they did. So maybe 600 hours, 500 hours is where like, okay, you probably know what all the heroes are.
I don't know if there's I wouldn't say there's a cutoff point. I wouldn't say there's a point at which you know what all the heroes, like I still Laguna Blade like oracles that have done their spell that gives magic.
But I
there's always
get Adam's
little
point.
corner cases. I just mean like it could be relatively
you're not lost,
introduced to most of the macro concepts and heroes and spells.
I would agree with Adam that like amount of time is necessary to just have consumed and experienced all the major aspects of the game and heroes and items.
Just because of the sheer amount of combinations that can occur, you might not see everything until 500 hours.
Another thing I'd say for 1K as well is this just goes along with the same line of thinking of maybe the next step up of just trying to experience Dota and play games and learn stuff, like just soak up information. If you're playing games in your, say you've fuck bot games, right? You're done with those or whatever. You're playing ranked games. You're trying to grind your way to 2K. If you see something that's really strong, that seems really strong, try it. Try and replicate it. This is basically why I started playing CK, Chaos Knight, which is a hero that I played a bunch right when I first started playing Dota. It's because I got demolished by a Chaos Knight, and I was like, wait a second, that seems really, really good. So I'm going to try it. And the beauty of being 1K to 2K is, probably by your second Chaos Knight game, you can feel reasonably comfortable to play it in ranked, and you'll probably do fine. That was certainly my experience. So if something seems really broken good, just replicate it and you'll probably find success. That's a bit of advice I would give. So don't be afraid to try stuff. Anything else you want to say on 1K? Or are we happy to go to 2K to 3K?
Maybe this is relevant to both, but the idea of using demo to get familiar and comfortable with what your spells do. And so one of the points I've written down is to learn how your spells synergize with your own spells. So it makes me think about the first hero I ever played is Jakiro. And after a few games, you get this, you start to realize, or even after your first couple, you realize, oh yeah, I used Ice Path, and then I used Macropire, and then I used my Q, and then I used my Dual Breath, whatever the E is, Liquid Fire. And this is the chain of spells I should be using when playing this hero, and this is how I like maximize my damage output. Okay, I'm familiar, I'm comfortable with this. I play a new hero. I can't remember who my second hero was actually, but say there's a new hero you want to play because it looks cool, jump in a demo. Oh, say like Kunkka. Jump in a demo. Don't just jump into a ranked when you first play Kunkka. All right, how long does it take for my torrent to go off? Okay, it's like, takes this long. Okay, can I learn how to combo it with X? I'm going to X the hero, he runs away. I press X again, press the torrent. Okay, I'm getting comfortable and familiar. All right, this is how Tidebringer hits people, or this is how my ult ghost ship travels. Spend a bit of time in the demo mode. It's such a great tool. Just get comfortable and familiar with how your spells play out, and then go to the ranked game or the unranked game where you bring that hero into practice. To me, that's a really effective way to not just waste time in a game being lost with your hero. And then, yeah, that's my point.
Yeah, demo mode's awesome. I love demo mode.
I thought you were going to say go in the demo mode to practice your last hitting some more. Like, Marco, please.
Yeah, whatever.
We can we'll journey across. So you finally made it to 2K. You're loving life. You sent a screenshot of your MMR to all of your friends and your parents so you can celebrate getting 2K. And now you've got the mountain ahead of you that's 3K. You're in the real trench now, because this is where most players are in Dota, 2 to 3K. I think, is that accurate?
I think you're right. I think the average of the kind of bell curve is around 2.4 or 5.
What is 2K? Archon?
I think so.
I think like Archon
high Guardian. Yeah. Okay. Low Archon.
Yes. So this is this is Dota, basically. This is Mars's level 25 voice line. This is Dota. Tips 2K to 3K. I'll just start off with a bit of a smaller one. Again, this is going off my own experience. You can play a bunch of one hero, like have a special hero, have like a favorite hero. I actually think that helps a lot. So I basically started playing a bunch of Meepo at 2K because I just really liked it. And that, I'm not advising necessarily play Meepo at 2K, but have a favorite hero that may be a bit of a flashy, whatever, it doesn't matter who it is, but just play a bunch of it, watch some pro replays of it, maybe watch a couple of watch tab of it, like a guide or something, and just immerse to that next level with a given hero that you really like. And I think through doing that, you get some of that next level understanding of Dota, focused on one hero at this stage, obviously, but it can be really beneficial. It certainly was for me, just like my enjoyment of the game as well. Like, it's really fun having that signature hero. It just makes you feel a bit cooler, and you always know that you can win a game if good stuff happens and you're playing your fave hero. So that's just a fun one for something that I would maybe think about once you've been playing for a little bit and you've done that initial climb.
No, I agree. I agree. It's always, we've talked about, might have been not the first episode, but in our first 3 episodes, talking about cutting down the amount of heroes. If you're really focused on climbing, like just the more familiarity you have with your hero and then its limits relative to other heroes, you're going to basically take care of all these other things we're going to talk about within this bracket. Like, just like, I see our next point is cutting down on deaths. Well, it's like, okay, if you play a hero a lot, you're going to naturally cut down on the deaths of it because you know how far to push the limits of the hero.
You've seen your hero die enough times to try and avoid that.
So naturally, you're going to take care of a lot of these other points we're going to talk about just by having a lot of experience on a hero. It doesn't mean that you should spam just one thing, because that gets kind of boring, unless you're like a masochist like me and just like, I'll play 60 Lich games and this is fun. But the things take care of themselves, and it's always nice. Say you have Dota Plus, it's always nice busting out like a gold tier hero or something that other teams
super nice, yeah.
Monka S, oh god. Yeah. Gold tier Crystal Maiden, what are we going to do?
Yeah. Oh, the gold tier Crystal Maiden, that's like man, I wish this guy was on my team. Like,
I bust that out and I get stuff like, how could you do this to yourself? Or like, why would you do this? I'm like, what are you talking about? She's so fun. Yeah. Maybe 1 to 2K, that, and 1 and below and up to 2K is like, you may be lacking some basic knowledge about some things. Like, you're still learning the game. It's like, no, I wouldn't say it was a tutorial, but like, you're learning the breadth of the game. BREADTH.
Yeah.
Like how wide the game is. And then to push forward from 2 to 3, you're learning the depth of the game, like how deep all the mechanics go and all like definitely. You're learning the base level lower, and then you're pushing those things further and how they interact, and maybe some mid-tier, higher level mechanics is what pushes you to the next level in the 2 to 3K range.
Yeah, that touches on a point I've got in my head of, so now you've got a lot of games and you're familiar with kind of all the heroes, all the spells, you you've not lost in the games, you kind of see what's going on. But now at least one idea I have about, say, 2K is that you know what spells do, but now you're getting a better grasp of how to use them most effectively, and maybe you've tackled the initial hurdle of actually using them, but now you're able to understand more about how best to use them, or you can identify your enemy being out of position, and therefore I now cast the spell and it like does even more value than just like casting it at a random time. It makes me think of when I 2 to 3K, it makes me think of Matt KMM's Wyvern climb. I think he played mostly Wyvern to do his climb to 3K. I think he was mid 2 and then was climbed to 3. And in my eyes, when I've played with him, say when he's like 2.5 versus say he's now 3, his spell usage, at least on Wyvern, is so much more impactful. So it gives me the idea of, spells are being cast still, or maybe, I think, yeah, spells are still being cast, but now we're understanding where their impact most is. So like, say the enemy hero step forward a bit too much. All right, bam, let's do a Splinter Blast. He can't retreat as fast. He's out of position. That's great. Or I can identify where like a big ult would be most effective. I won't just waste it on this one hero. So to me, I feel like it's similar to Adam's point about you've got the breadth and now you're kind of understanding a bit deeper.
Definitely, yeah, I definitely agree with that for sure. Another one I'd have for 2K to 3K, this is more one for cause. Adam touched on it briefly, but like cutting down on deaths. This, I think, applies from here on out. So this is not something exclusive to 2K to 3K, but something to think about in general. Try and avoid dying as much as possible. It's just it's an easier way to play than trying to do this all out, aggressive play styles, especially from 2K, like in this initial climbing. Minimize your deaths on cause and you're going to have a great time, because I can assure you there'll be plenty of times in a game of 2K pub Dota that every hero will feed / make a big mistake / be really out of position and just die. Like, it will happen, because that's just the level of people aren't very good at avoiding deaths. Whereas if that's something you can actively think about and you can actively really think, like, how can I die in this situation? Like, am I in danger? And avoid those situations, you're going to win games, because enemies won't match your active thinking in that sense, and they'll get themselves killed too easily. Yeah,
it's obviously a point that's applicable to any game of Dota, but I think I'd agree with you emphasizing it in, say, this level, because if I think about like scoreboards of these lower average games, I think it's super common that you'll have so many kills and so many deaths on both sides, just people throwing bodies.
Definitely.
Just laning stage deaths.
Even just late.
This don't even make sense at a higher level how they happen.
Yeah, it's just at all stages of the game, like people are dying way too frequently. And if you can be that one player that is a bit more cautious, a bit more conservative with your hero control and not throwing yourself in too much, or not joining fights that you think you should be joining and you just die with your team, or just if you actually think really actively about minimize your own deaths, I think you have relatively really high value added, because everyone else is just throwing bodies all the time.
And I think this is a good time to emphasize it, because beforehand, you're not even going to know if you're unsafe or if you have the chance to die until you die like many times over in the lower games.
Sure, yeah. Definitely.
So it's just like you need to die a bunch until you realize, oh, maybe I can't stand up this far, or maybe you just need to I mean, it's learning through failure, and you need to die a whole bunch and then be like, now I know I can't be in these places, or I can't fight these heroes like this at this point in the game. And then you can start to dial back and cut down on the deaths. And you just think of every death is like 500 gold at least. Just like think about that. And when you combine what you lose, what you give to the other team, and how much you lose out on in uptime on the map, just if you think about just like the gold cost, and you try and cut that down, it's how you kind of build your net worth advantage and get ahead of your enemies in the game.
Yeah. One final general point that I think to me is most applicable to this 2K climb, because it was the most applicable to my 2K climb. And then we'll start talking about, 3 to 4K or things that are applicable to both, or etc. PMA was being PMA and being positive and having good communication was something that really helped me when I was going from 2K to 3K. And I suppose it's definitely something I've got worse at, for sure. As I've played more Dota, I've been like infected by the Dota disease, perhaps. But back when I first started playing, I'd come from playing StarCraft 2 where there's no teammates, obviously. So I've got no reason to suspect strangers on the internet would have anything but my best wishes at heart. So I was basically just on mic a lot. I didn't know what I was talking about, but I was on mic a lot. Giving the benefit of the doubt to my teammates was really important, like not flaming. If one of my teammates died, I was like, well, I've only got 300 hours of Dota. I don't know. I guess he just died because the enemy PL's strong or whatever. I don't know. So I was just pure positive, pure trying to captain and like rally the troops. And so it's such a truism of not only Dota but life, in that you get out what you put in. If you're PMA in general and you've got a good attitude and you're friendly, and you're captaining and encouraging good communication, your team are so much more likely to reciprocate that. Like, it's unbelievable how much more likely they are to mirror that back. Sometimes you'll get random games where it's not possible, but honestly, that's a fringe situation. And then the more I've climbed and the more I've sometimes got more frustrated, the more I feel like Dota's just full of trolls and feeders and stuff. Back when I was going from 2K to 3K, my game experience was so good because like my attitude and my communication was so good.
Yeah, I feel like you load into the game and imagine everybody's on a tightrope, teetering that edge between being toxic or being I guess PMA.
Positive mental attitude, by the way.
Yeah, all it takes is one comment from you, and you can just teeter the whole team in the draft stage to be like positive.
Yeah.
Or you could take it the other way and be really douchey, and then the game is bad from that point on.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll say it again. I said it last week. Be the change you wish to see in your Dota game. Like it starts within you, right? If you project positivity, for the most part, unless somebody on your team's just having a really bad day or just isn't in the mood, it's going to permeate to the rest of your team.
Definitely.
And it's only going to reflect in positive matchmaking points for you.
Yeah. I would emphasize the value added of being PMA on your own game. I think it's almost equally strong point / reason for being PMA, not just to lift up your team and keep them focused, keep them happy and not like crybaby, whatever. But I really do also think that if you're PMA yourself, it will keep your own like concentration and belief in the game, and you'll say you make some mistakes or errors. If you're PMA about it, you won't let that tilt you, or you won't let that make you start playing worse. And even then your team might come in and like back you up. And so there's a lot of aspects, a lot of positive reinforcement by keeping PMA. Definitely applicable to any kind of tier as well.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. That's easily forgotten, is that secretly maybe its effect on your own play and like your own, you're just your own play is as important, like you say. Because every game at 2K is winnable. And I know people will probably some people probably cry hearing that. I don't mean it literally, whatever. But if you're in a situation and you're like, oh, we've lost our outer lanes or whatever, like the game's done, or the classic, the enemy anti-mage has got this super early battle fury or blah, blah, blah. At 2K, there's so many mistakes made that if you're just active and positive, not even if you're active and positive, there's always a chance. You've always got a chance. And that's applicable. Marco, I'm sure you'd probably say that's applicable, up to
2, 3, 4,
6K
5
or something.
Yeah.
It's all levels. Just like
all levels,
you need to remember that where you're at in the ladder, everyone else is at that ladder spot too. And that no game, just because, we all watch pro games, and sure, you can call games are over at that point because they're pros, but the games do not end just when the AM gets a 15-minute battle fury. Like, that doesn't mean that your ancient explodes when that happens. It's like, no, he's got to farm some more stuff. And we've all played games where you've been like 30,000 gold behind or mega creeps behind, and the other team just makes some really inexplicably like dumb moves, and then you just win the game.
For sure.
Yeah.
So might as well grind out the wins.
We've all played games against a 6-slotted battle fury, a 6-slotted anti-mage that just blinked in and fed.
Yeah.
I've played so many games against that. So
my last comment would be that this point is definitely most applicable to this 2K tier as well, though, because you're playing with people that have got this broad experience of the game and knowledge of the game, but then are also not as far away from the pros as you can be, kind of, such that all these points of, if you stay in PMA, there is always a chance to come back in the game. The enemy are not amazing. They can make mistakes, and most likely and more likely will make mistakes in this kind of level, and you will more, unlike, say, relative to the 1K tier, like, you can capitalize on these errors and you can come back, and so don't give up and keep your team in it, and you'll, like Stan says, his climb from 2 to 3K, you could probably got a good handful of wins, quite a lot of wins from this kind of attitude, this never give up attitude and this stay focused and positive attitude.
He certainly got a lot of cabins.
It'll happen most often in this 2K tier as well, where teams can't win or throw a game.
Yeah,
or
and just
fail
being
to
positive and trying things and like having more of a can-do attitude rather than an attitude of despair will be rewarded most at 2K.
Yeah, defo.
So moving.
Well, can we just say one thing?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Because I know we have these notes, and then we kind of
there's also other side notes as well.
Yeah, so just like we have for the 2 to 3K, in addition to cutting down on deaths, is thinking about how your spells synergize with your team spells, and then start to think about items and how they're best used, and then basic warding and vision. But especially with how your spells synergize with your team and you're learning items and how they're best used, that goes into or also ties into picking a hero and playing it a bunch, playing a few heroes. That's when I said all these things will take care of themselves. If you play a hero a lot and know its limits, you'll cut down on the deaths, you'll know how your spells synergize with the team, and you'll also know what items are best for the game because you have a lot of games on the hero. So I just wanted to hit those things.
Yeah, sure. Cool. And now, like 3K to 4K, this is something that's more fresh in the memory for me, because obviously after this, I basically have to jump ship and let Adam and Marco carry us on the 4 to 5 and 5 to 6. 3 to 4K, this is something that could have been said. This is an important concept that I think becomes a lot more important around this time, and that's vision. And vision is something to be expanded upon when we talk about 4 to 5 and 5 to 6, because it becomes more and more important. But this is when it probably is worth really thinking about at first. I think warding, and this is more of a support thing, you can win games in 3 to 4K with great vision, and just simple warding on the eye spots, warding on the best spots, and thinking about where heroes are and therefore where they can't be will win you games at 3 to 4K.
What I would like to stress, similar to this point, is, and so maybe your point I'd see, yeah, I agree, 3 to 4K, but also see it very prominent in the 4K plus as well, the idea of warding and map vision, map control. What I'd like to stress more rudimentary for 3 to 4K would be the idea of map awareness. And so in the laning, say you're in a laning phase, being aware of where enemy heroes are. Is the mid laner still in mid? Is the off lane or safe lane enemy heroes, are they still there? Are you at threat of them rotating? Can you see where they are? Have they just TP'd somewhere? Also in the mid game, maybe more, well, actually in the early game, TP rotations, but maybe more importantly in the mid game, TP rotations. So if you're in a lane doing a bit of farming or doing a bit of warding, I think in the 3K bracket, a big way to improve is to be really conscious about the rest of the map and to be okay, you're doing your own thing, but I think you really need to think, like, what's my team doing? What's the enemy team doing? Like, where's everyone positioned on the map? Is there a skirmish likely to happen? Is there a tower that needs to be defended? Is there a tower to be pushed? You need to be reactive with like TP rotations. That's really important. I think more so in the mid game to help fights and to be there in fights. And yeah, also for yourself defensively, like if I'm in a lane, am I aware of the map and am I therefore a threat, or am I safe to push? Am I safe to CS? I really think map awareness, given you've got this broad understanding of the game and all the heroes and the items and how heroes should be played, I really start to think that you need to go a bit deeper and to be, all right, really thinking map awareness. I really think it's a big key next level point that you can start focusing a lot on.
Definitely. And even just basic map awareness things, I can say from experience, just aren't done at 3 to 4K. Like, there's so many times where I've been playing mid and a Tusk I haven't noticed a Tusk on the minimap for, say, 3 full seconds as he walks to gank me, sort of thing. So map awareness is like, yeah, I can't.
Yeah, not even just mini map awareness, but your own map awareness. Can you react to heroes appearing, or?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
In fights even, are you aware of where the enemy heroes are all positioned? Like, yeah, you now know you've got the mantra of use spells and items in your head, but are you aware of if you step forward too far, like is there an enemy hero to the side that could threaten you? I really think this idea of being aware of the map and the mini map and where everyone is on the map is a point that really you should start getting good at the 3K level, assuming you're getting these knowledge and basic mechanics ticked off.
Yeah, we're just like really lucky that we all came from a StarCraft background, because
it's true.
Just like minimap was the game of StarCraft, and that's really is important in Dota. You should always be looking. Hopefully, you have your minimap at the bottom left. You're not like have it flipped, because that's just heinous. Bottom right minimap, but should always be scanning down there and looking for flickers of colors of people coming in and out of vision, and that's always great for you. But where it gets to be really strong is where you see something and then you communicate it to the rest of the team. Is where like, oh, so like such and such support is down here now, or so and so is TPing to your lane, or that type of stuff. That's where it really. It's nice that it helps you not die, but you got to communicating to the rest of the team where rotations are happening, or if people go missing from vision, is really strong. And then you'll be able to avoid the classic, your mid gets ganked and they're like, nice call, stay safe, such and such, you know.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. So how I play, I don't have the hero faces on the minimap. I have the colors, the X's or whatever.
Well, I think that's such anti-value.
I mean, that's how I have it.
It doesn't matter as long as you're used to it. I mean, it's not.
Yeah, I'm really used to
with
like,
Marco,
okay,
but
green is TPing top or whatever, and I just know that that's such and such.
Yeah, I used to do colors, but changed.
A lot of the hero icons are very similar, is what the issue is. That I feel like the glance value isn't going to be good enough.
I've seen some pros use hero icons, some pros use the colors with the things. Like just going off streams, I've seen different people use different ones, so it's definitely either or is fine.
You can also do the hero names.
Oh god, I haven't seen that.
I've never seen anyone do that. That's crazy.
Yeah. Probably too hard to read.
Yeah, I think of for 3 to 4K or something. I touched on this actually last episode, but recognizing what the ideal situation is for your hero, like how your hero. This is what Marco's talked about a lot in just general points as well, in terms of, you know, pre-game in this strategy time, using that time to think about how you want the game to go, how your hero should be functioning ideally in the game, and then playing the game to execute that and to put yourself in positions where this dream situation that you've thought about before the game is actually occurring.
Yeah, like say you're Rasta, just to jump in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Say you're playing a Shadow Shaman, you should be thinking that you want to be on the edge of a fight, casting your, say, Shackle or Hex from long range away, maybe on a high ground, somewhere safe. Like, if you can achieve that in a fight, i.e. find yourself in a safe position, close enough to cast your Shackle, you can win games with that.
Definitely.
playing out, literally. This is in contrast to the idea of, I'm Rasta, the shadow shaman, therefore I'm going to disable people, and therefore that's my job. Oh, but then say if you execute that by just being in the middle of a big fight, getting your shackle off or your hex off, and then you die 2 seconds later, that doesn't win you the fight, and that doesn't add the value you can, versus actively thinking, okay, I need to avoid these enemy heroes, and I need to be kind of hidden in the trees, or I just need to like wait a few seconds for the fight to explode, and then I find myself a safe spot to get my spells off. That's latter example is where you'll add way more value and win games. So yeah, just an example to your point, Stan.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Crystal made an ult in the trees as opposed to out in the middle of nowhere, like that type of stuff.
Yeah, and also just beyond spellcasting as well. Say you're CM and you're thinking, my job this game is to, I don't know, say you're laning with like a Monkey King. You're going to be thinking, as opposed to like my brain dead CM, I'm going to play support in the safe lane. You're thinking, we've got a really aggressive lane with kill potential, so I'm going to be playing more aggressively and trying to like set up for kills.
Yeah, I'll be in the
spells.
Trees to the right or the left, a bit out of vision, a bit further forward, and then I'll cast my Q from this like sneaky spot rather than just be deep at my tower, like doing
Monkey
nothing.
King will get 2 auto attacks on somebody, and then they'll maybe start to back off, and that's when you hit them with the Q from the trees, and then they're really scared, and that's when you follow up with the frostbite, and then they're dead.
Yep.
Also, in that sense, I don't need to be pulling as much this game as opposed to in another game where, I don't know, you're laning with a Sven and it's kind of a bad lane, and you know, actually I want to be pulling because that's what my job is this game. And these are things you think about before the game. And I think that's something that I would say is very applicable to 3 to 4K. And I've got a follow-up point that I think becomes relevant at 4 to 5K that I'll come back to. I'm just setting up that prompt now.
Well, also, so is this where we start to think about skill builds as well?
Yes. So skill builds come under the umbrella of what we've just been saying in terms of like thinking
because also
about the
it's
game.
just like if I'm playing CM and you look at the heroes and you're like, we need lockdown. It's like, okay, well, this is a max frostbite game versus max Crystal Nova.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Where you really start to think about, because I think before you get to this point, you could probably brain dead skill build the same thing for the same hero every time,
and it'd be fine.
And it'd be fine like 95% of the time. But this is where you get into the extra half second of lockdown on an anti-mage from the frostbite makes the difference between a kill and not a kill. And
items as well. When you start being in this 3 to 4K, maybe high 3K for this starts being more relevant, but a similar point of thinking about what item you should be buying, what would be most effective. Yeah, I think we've pretty much done the 3-4K, so I'm just going to say, because you're starting to think maybe more like higher 3K into 4K for that kind of stuff, and that's because that follows on really nicely to what I was going to say is, for me, and my PKMR is 4.6K, and it's safe to say I'm not currently 4.6K, which feels bad, but anyway, so I'll be jumping off soon, but one thing that I think was important to me for that initial climb to like halfway through 4K is not just thinking about before the game, thinking this is how I want my game to go. Also like doing some adjustments in the game. Because this kind of sounds stupid, but it's only until I was sort of climbing in 4K that I would genuinely sort of try and adjust the fundamentals of what I was trying to do in a game because of the way a game was going. And the best way to illustrate is perhaps with an example. If I'm playing TA, before 4K, I would just do the same stuff all the time, like try and win my lane as best as possible, sort of a brain-dead thing to say and a brain-dead thing to do, maximizing my CS or whatever. Then I'd jungle around, get my items, and then maybe once I had Blink Deso, go to where the rest of my heroes are and see what happens. But I think I found a lot of success in my initial climb out of 4K, also thinking, well, actually, in this game, if I get involved with, say, just like a Blightstone and my level and like some traps, in this particular game, because of the way the game's going,
now let's like actually be way more active rather than just farming and doing the same thing that I do every single TA game. Or conversely, there's no kill potential in this game because we've lost our lanes. I need to just farm safely, get a deso, and then regroup. You know, this is like a farm safely game. Basically, the core of what I'm saying is, I think from 4K onwards, adjusting in game is something that you should do, rather than purely just trying to preconceive an idea before the game and then trying to execute it. Actually, adjusting on the fly can be really beneficial. That's me. I'm done. You guys have got to carry me to the rest of the episode.
It's a good point. I think what I would add for the 4K climb would be to start thinking more about and recognizing and exploiting power spikes of heroes and items more. So being able to understand when, say, you tick into that next level or you complete that next item, how you now may have this relatively big increase of power. Say you've just finished your Deso from having a Blightstone in your pocket to now a Desolator. That's a power spike because you've now got a Deso in your item slots rather than just a Blightstone. Okay, relative to everyone else, like you can now boom some work done. Like supports, whatever, aren't going to be ready for this sudden power that you have. Go use it. Go exploit it. And I mean, that idea is just going to be relevant to every hero you play, any hero you play. Like big ults coming up, bang, let's get them on use. Big items that you pick up, like, I mean, the classic ones are blinks. You get a blink and boom, you make something happen. But more so on the cores, I think, like recognizing your power spikes, because the cores are the heroes that are going to have most gold and XP. So if you hit a big level that you can then exploit your power difference. So like you hit your Mars, when you hit 6 at Mars, if you've not got a kill in the next 50 seconds, you're doing something wrong. If you've not killed the enemy one of supports in the next 60, 50 seconds, you're doing it wrong. And you'll have this kind of idea with every core. And yeah, it's hard to speak more about power spikes, but I think it's a concept that you need to start recognizing it and exploiting more at the 4K level to push your advantage and snowball your lead, rather than passive. You've just got some big item and you don't actually make any value out of it, and then 5 minutes later, everyone else has got the next item. Therefore, you're not relatively stronger.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Just to quickly give an example from my games, I've won so many games purely off the power spike of Greaves on Necro. That's like a very recent one. I realised that when we got Greaves on Necro, or indeed any hero, when we got Greaves, our pushing power spike is so much stronger. And it's like what Marco said, it tips you into that next level where actually, even though if I didn't actively think, if I didn't actively think about power spikes, I'd be like, we're behind in this game, so we can't push because we're behind, right? We can't just run into a tower if we're behind. But actually, because I've got Greaves now, if we group up and push, we've just rocketed how effective our push is going to be, and often you can just win the game because the enemy doesn't realize. It's even harder to be the enemy thinking about the enemy's power spikes, right? So that's just a real life example that I've had recently to illustrate what Marco's been saying, which is a point about power spikes that I totally
was
agree
it clear
with.
enough what I mean by power spikes as well? I feel like I maybe didn't explain it clear enough. The idea of, say you've just picked up this big 3,000, 4,000 gold item that you've been farming. So you've just had 4K gold in your gold bag, which doesn't add value. It's now in the shape of a 4K item, which adds, say, 4K gold value. Say everyone else was also in the same position if they had loads of gold in the bag, so it's just dead value. But now nothing else has changed in the game, but you've now got 4K gold bag translated into a 4K item. All else equal, there's now this big 4K gold value added differential of you to everyone else. And that idea can also apply to experience, and that's why it's important with XP of getting your big ultimate. So say you just hit your big ulters level 6, from going 5 to 6, your power level increases way more than going from 6 to 7 or 7 to 8. Because from 7 to 8 or 6 to 7, you've just got another point in your random spell, doesn't matter. But when you get that next point in, say, your ult, all else equal, you can now do way more work relative to everyone else, and you need to capitalize on that power differential as much as you can to then build advantage and snowball your lead. That's the point I'm trying to get at. And I think it's most applicable to cores who are going to have the most XP and gold. And you really need to think about when those spikes of power kick in and how you like make the most of them. So say you're a PA, don't go deep in your neutrals when you've just got a Dezo. Can you find some kill on the side lanes and then make a tower happen? That kind of thought process.
Definitely.
Yeah, just to further talk about that, gets into like item ordering. And I mean, we've all had games where you've seen one of your teammates get a blink and then they're not using it. Or like you say you buy a BKB. That's a 4K gold item. This is just like Marco's situation he talked about. If you're not using that BKB and then you wait 8 minutes and then you use it, it's like, okay, you could have bought something else that spiked your farming potential to where you could have got the BKB later and then it would, or quicker than the other item, and it would have been a better order of things. You know?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's just like, you just got to use the item once you get it, because otherwise you could have got something else and saved it off for later. And BKB is not really a great stat item or a farming item outside of just using the magic immunity aspect of it. And then also with the power spikes, it's about exploiting your advantage and getting kills that transition into objectives such as towers or Roche. The kills are nice, but really it's just allowing you to take the map. The map is the most important part of the game.
Yeah, definitely. I really think it's this 4 to 5k level that these ideas we've touched on start really kicking in to be most important.
And Adam, I mean, you climbed 4k to 5k pretty recently, right? I don't know if you've got any things that maybe aren't as useful to the masses as what we've been saying already, but like things that you found personally that were really helpful for you, 4 to 5k, or what was it that clicked for you, do you think?
Oh man, because it was mostly from support.
Yeah.
I think I just this 4 to 5k was where I really narrowed down the heroes, and then I learned limits, and then this is where I started. Once I learned limits, I started adjusting. I think that's the biggest thing I did, was adjusting skill builds on and item builds on my supports. And then also, since I play position 6 for the most part, it was really focusing on vision, was placing it, making sure it does not get dewarded is really huge. Making sure that I buy a lot more sentries, so I was getting rid of enemy vision. And that plays into checking the map a lot, seeing where the enemy support is, seeing where they disappear and they come back out, and you can check their inventory, whether wards are placed. I bought a lot more smokes. Not necessarily, I don't even really know how to use those still, to be honest. It's really hard to coordinate smokes to be value in pub Dota, but you got to buy them, otherwise you lose out on having them later, and that's when they're most value. But also, not just blindly placing vision on like most common spots, or like I'll throw it on this big eyeball hill, so we have the most vision. It's more important that it doesn't get dewarded, or that you're using it to push an objective. And then where it gets in the higher level warding is not necessarily placing it for now, placing it for like 4 to 5 minutes where you know you're going to be later, because that's what actually opens up the smoke. Smoking and running up into a high ground where you have no idea what you're running into is pretty much the worst thing you can do. If you place and it always goes bad, and that's always how it's almost always you lose the game off of it, unless it's desperation. It's like placing the ward for a 4 minute in advance objective, which then you smoke into, kill, say, a drow taking their triangle, and then pushing the next 2 towers off with the drow being down. That's where you get the value out of the vision. Or say they took your safe lane tower, now you place a ward going into your jungle so you see them. Or even better, you still have your safe lane tower, but now you're in the 8 to 10, 12 minute range of the game. The first wards have timed out. It's time for you to go to either mid or off lane to start to gank or do other things. That's where you leave a ward So now your carry can farm alone and feel safe. It's about enabling your cores to farm areas of the map even without you there because they know what's coming to them.
Yeah, I think Adam's experience climbing in the support role is really interesting. And I think the points he's made absolutely smash it. I would definitely reiterate the idea of now you're in this level that if you're playing support, so to reiterate earlier points, you need to be kind of laning and as well as you can, like if enemies are out of position, help capitalizing on that. You're pulling correctly. Okay, just some basic support 101 business. But now, like Adam says, the map vision game starts to become really important. So not just for like finding enemy kills, but also the idea that he mentions of enabling your own team. So if you've got wards that can help your position one guy farm most efficiently and most safely because of vision, that's amazing. Like on the offensive aspect, you can find ganks and kills and then that can turn into objectives. These really are big points that you should start developing when you're playing that support role in this bracket. I think Adam obviously smashed it, and that's why he climbs so bloody fast on his Lich and CM. I think they are really, really key.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's
the great points, honestly.
I'm thinking about is playing around, so not necessarily even the towers, obviously those are objectives, but now we have runes, right? And that's an every 5-minute objective. And that's an easy way to get really lazy kills from the enemy is playing around every 5 minutes. And be like, okay, runes are coming up. And usually somebody, even just you just getting the runes, a lot of times you can just get the runes because people are so focused. They're not thinking about 30 seconds ahead. That's when the runes are coming up. But if you can tie that in with a kill, that's how you get the easy towers right now. Is because the runes are so close to the enemy tier 1s on the side lanes that you just you can even just send 2 heroes because a lot of times it's like one support trying to get the runes or something, or one core as part of their farming pattern, and you just kill them, transition into a tower.
Yeah.
Just so like playing around timings, and those are like really nice little timings. I like the runes right now because they force people to kind of be together.
Yeah, I like the runes. It's quite fun. At what point, something we haven't mentioned, and I don't know if you two would consider this something to throw in here. I was thinking perhaps it might be is this the level that the meta and like abusing the meta is important? Not to suggest that you can't climb playing non-meta heroes, but in terms of helping you climb 4 to 5k. Having an awareness of what heroes are broken and what is broken probably will help you a lot, right?
It definitely would help to take advantage of the meta heroes. I mean, they're picked so high in pro games for a reason. You definitely have an easier time if you play like Drow right now versus I don't even know a non really meta hero for the safe lane, but yeah, I just think that it would be something to take advantage of, but every hero can work. I mean, when I played CM and Lich, they were some of the better supports at the time, probably the top tier. CM Crystal Nova, when I was spamming it, was a very strong spell, and it kept getting nerfed. And then Lich Frost Armor, it was super, super strong, and he was like a giga great laner at the time. Now I've kind of found myself transitioning towards things like Oracle because those are strong. But it's like, do you want to, if the best part is when you have a hero that is one of your best, really strong, and it lines up with the meta. I feel like that's when you hit the crest of the wave and you climb a lot.
Yeah, definitely. That's like the jackpot, yeah.
Yeah, but in the meantime, it's a nice time to try out other heroes.
And also, it's not necessarily what's used in pro games, like pro captain's mode games. It's just like what's winning pubs. Like go to Dota Buff, go to Trends, or do your Dota Plus Trends, see what's at the top, and it will make your life easier. It's not a guarantee, but it will make your life easier if you're playing heroes that have 60% win rate. Because at this level, you should be able to jump on a new hero and you'll be okay. It's like, I've played a bunch of Drow recently, a hero that I've never played before, and I'm like, feels great. And also, I Necro and Viper a while ago were some of the only heroes that I could consistently win with, and it was no surprise that they were two heroes, basically both in the top 5 at the time. So I do think it's important.
Pango and Mars now.
Yeah. Speaking of Mars, I don't know, Marco, if you have anything to add to 4 to 5k, or if you want to have anything, maybe 5 to 6k, or where you...
I don't have anything to add to 4 to 5k. Jump into the 5 plus. One of the main overarching themes that I would see is the idea of playing fast-paced. And before...
Wait, just to clarify, is this for climbing to 6k?
Yeah, 5 to 6.
Okay.
So before I go into that anymore, I want to talk about the idea of if you're in lanes, and it links the idea of playing fast-paced, but if you're playing lanes in this like 5k games and then you compare it to, say, 4k games, and I've done this when I've gone from solo to parties, in, say, those 4k games, you will not get punished as hard. I think it's a comment Adams mentioned when he's played these high-level R2DL games, that you will be punished way more at these 5k plus games because everyone has got solid mechanics, everyone's got vast knowledge of the game, vast experience. Everyone recognizes when heroes are out of position.
They know what their hero can do. They know the potential.
They know the
of
limitations of like nearly of most heroes, really. So they know that if, say, your enemy hero steps out a bit too far and they can blow these spells on you, or they can trade these right clicks better, they're able to build these edges in games and snowball from that. It's like how if some 5k plus player is playing in a 4k pub as the one role, he can kind of feed kills on the enemy offlaner and snowball his advantage from there. And to me, that kind of plays into the idea of playing faster pace. That, well, maybe it doesn't, but the point is that people know the limitations super well and they can exploit them really effectively. And that is a big difference to the lower levels. So I guess it's a kind of mechanical point, really, that they're able to use their spells or right clicks or like hero positioning to the most effective possible manner and like catching people out. That's kind of one point.
The natural flip side point to that would be if you're on the other side, like, know the potential of your hero like you should at this point. If there's someone out of position, know how to punish it.
Yeah. So that's a better way to phrase it in terms of if you're going to climb, you need to be that person that can recognize everyone's limitations and, say, very importantly in the laning phase, you can recognize where an enemy hero is out of position. You can recognize how, say, you casting some spells, or if you're in the trees or you're right clicking and you're trading better right clicks because the enemy's stepped out of line a little bit, and you capitalize on that. And it's those little, that's like a mechanical micro level gameplay where you'll start winning your lanes, and then that snowballs into like advantages. So that's a general point of you need to be able to exploit these people making mistakes or people being out of position. You need to be able to exploit that. Then it kind of links to my general point of this faster paced game. And I think the idea of being able to play at a faster pace in the 5k plus level is super important. So again, everyone you're playing with now has a solid understanding of the game. Everyone kind of knows what roles should be doing, knows what heroes should be achieving in the game. So then it kind of comes down to a matter of who executes better, or even who executes at a faster pace. And so when I think about pace of the game, I'm thinking, all right, say if an enemy is out of position, are you jumping on that and executing a kill? Or say there's enemies off the map away from a tower, are you shoving a lane really aggressively, like you and another support something, because you know that you've seen 2 TPs elsewhere and you know you've got that space to aggressively push and get an objective? Like that decision, contrary to say, oh, you don't jump at the fact that TPs have been used elsewhere, and you don't shove the lane, and you don't like stay right clicking, you kind of go and do other stuff. Those two different scenarios make big impact on the game. Other ideas of fast paces, say you're farming and are you kind of taking ages to kill a creep wave when you could just boom, use a spell, nuke it, get into the jungles, get more creep more efficiently. Also, that plays into the idea of playing off the map. When you're playing at a faster pace, you will be on the map less often. You'll be giving the enemy less information. You'll also have creep waves push more often. You'll have more information from that. These all compound into like macro game winning plays of, build map control. You build your, like, you can get ganks better. You don't get ganked because you've got better map control. Also the fast paced aspect of like moving across the map really actively. Like you might be farming, but you might be farming in this path to the mid lane because you know that you've got heroes in, like heading there for say a push or to make a fight or gank happen. Like you're thinking 1-2 steps ahead and with what you're doing with your own hero and how it fits into the wider gameplay. I really think this idea of being able to play at a faster pace and you get all the basics set, but you're thinking like, what do I need to be doing next? Or you're predicting where the enemy is going to be, or you're predicting where your team wants to play and you're playing according to that. It all feeds into just like how to play better, really. And I think they're the ideas, like higher level ideas that you'll need to start doing to climb.
Yeah, you know how your movements on the map affect the enemy's movements on the map and how you need to react to those movements that you're going to affect, basically. real time strategy, LOL. Just like, oh, we kill a support. Does that mean that we can transition into Roche or a tower? Or does that mean while this guy is down that we can set up better vision? Or can we kill another hero while somebody else is down and then just keep snowballing from there?
Yeah, you're playing the whole game thinking about the next step. You like the first step of say getting these CS or getting this kill or getting this tower or shoving this wave. That's not the primary like thought process. You're thinking, all right, given this is going to be happening, given I'm going to do this, where's my next movement? Or you're thinking all my team is doing this, and this. Like, what are they all going to be looking to do next? How can I kind of link up? How can I connect with them, say for a kill? Or I'm now thinking of the enemy team. Where are they going to want to appear, or where are they going to TP to? Where are they going to want to ward? What area of the map do we want to control? Okay, how do I get that? You're always thinking these 1-2 steps ahead. And that's the idea of playing faster pace. Like you're executing everything as quickly as you can so that you move into the next objective and the next action.
Yeah.
And it plays into micro level of a player's out of place, so you bang a kill, and because you recognize he's out of place, also plays to the macro level of like map control, team movement, vision game.
Even stuff just like, you see 2 people TP top, or you force a rotation top. Now you know the opposite side of the map is open for you to shove because there's a 60-second downtime on those 2 heroes. You know you have numbers, that type of things you need to be thinking about.
Yeah.
Marco, one thing I just ask you, maybe on a more personal note, I don't know if you want to run through for you, like what I said to Adam for the 4 to 5K. What was your climb from 5 to 6K like? So,
yeah, like I calibrated this whole high 4K level, and then I can't really remember when I bumped it to. I basically got to 5.5, and I was there for kind of all of uni. I kind of never played solos. I can't really remember what the 5 to 5.5 climb was. I feel like it could have been largely Morph when I was smashing Morph. There was a time I was smashing Morph to get Divine 5 in the first ranked season. So that climb was very much, I limited my hero pool. I was very much spamming like 1 or 2 heroes. So I remember vividly a lot of Morph games. And in those games, I would be winning the lane every time and able to kind of, you take advantage of all these errors that the enemy will make, like being out of position, you capitalize, you snowball your advantage. Because I played the hero a lot, I knew its limitations, so I knew how I was able to join in fights and just boom, team fights. And this is the old Morph, like a number of patches ago. But it was quite a long time ago, so I can't really speak too much more. Okay, so the 5.5 to 6 was much more recent, like in the last month or so. And when I think about this, honestly, one of the big ones is not dying much. So I had this massive win streaks. And in these games, I was minimizing my deaths as much as possible and making sure that I wasn't being caught out. I really feel like it almost helped playing some party games, which were like lower 4K average, where you could get away with more. And it's a point Adam's made about his R2DL experience of in these lower ranked games, you can get away with more. And then you come to say like 5K plus and people will punish you. If you're out of line, you will be punished. And this idea of never being out of line, never making an individual mistake that can be capitalized on, I really feel like I focused a lot on. And I think I've played quite a bit of like supporty kind of heroes, and I was therefore was focusing on, I'm not going to ever be out of position and let someone capitalize on my error, but I'm always going to like be active and using my spells, and I'm like playing Disruptor and getting major involvement, meanwhile never dying because I'm just living all these fights and getting all my spells off multiple times. So it was kind of like, minimize deaths on the support side and therefore maximize spell use. Then I think about, I did play quite a bit of Mars to climb 5.5 to 6 and played quite a bit of Quap. So when I was playing Mars, I mean, yeah, maybe the hero's broken, but I was just seriously slapping people, getting major impact off with that hero, like recognizing my power spike to always be getting kills when I can with my like level 6 power spike. My CSing was strong, like just understanding the hero's capability, whilst maybe other people don't as much because it's a new hero, therefore you can capitalize on that like information asymmetry. Then playing Quap, I don't know why my Quap was doing well in the climb. Again, I was just focusing on the basics of CSing, not dying much, and then when you make fewer mistakes, you can do more in the game and you can add more value and impact. And I feel like that was kind of the story of 5.5 to 6.
Yeah, what I was going to say is, and this isn't meant to like belittle at all, because this is coming from someone that I'm like 0-4 on Mars, but both Morph, when you played it a bunch, and then you did play it, and then at Mars, which you played not a ton of, but like a fair bit of during the climb, and you didn't fucking lose a game. You're like 10-0 or something crazy. It's not a coincidence that those two heroes were like strong heroes. Like, you're not going to bother spamming a hero that's weak.
Yeah,
when you're trying to climb to 6K. Because the Morph, the patch that you were grinding Morph was the patch where you could strength Morph while stunned.
Yeah, it was really.
So it was like really stupid. So it's just another thing of the meta. You're not going to waste your time, or you'd make your life so much harder for yourself if you were trying to spam like Puck or something with a really low win rate to Immortal. Do you know what I mean? So,
but I definitely think one of my biggest factors recently has been minimizing my own mistakes and errors, and kind of playing conservatively in a way of, don't throw my hero in this aggressive position where I may pull something off yet have a high chance of dying. That's just really suboptimal. Just play safe, play conservative, don't make errors, and then you will find your own openings. You don't need to force everything too much, and like if you're playing some squishy support in the lane, don't try and be overly aggressive. Just let the CS happen. Do a little bit of bullying and nudging to help secure the last hits. Last hits incredibly important. And then if an opportunity opens, maybe you find a kill, or if some obvious opportunity opens in another lane, find it there. You don't need to be throwing yourself in hyper aggressive all the time. So I really feel like I've focused on minimizing my mistakes, and then use spells effectively, use items effectively, you'll win games.
For sure. Adam, any final thoughts? Not necessarily on 5 to 6K, but just on like climbing in general. What do you reckon if you could make in one sentence? What would you say? Most important thing to ranking up in Dota in one sentence.
Yikes.
or one term. Be the change you want to see, maybe. I don't know.
Have fun.
Have fun, yeah. Very underrated thing to say.
Remember, it is a game at the end of the day.
Yeah, don't forget that it is just a game and you're meant to have fun and enjoy it and just stay positive.
Yeah,
I would say use spells win games, by the way.
Just active thinking. Outside of PMA, active thinking.
Yeah.
That'll get you. That is a nice general for every skill level.
Yeah. Say PMA, use spells, win games, and what was the last one? Have fun.
Have fun. I would also say don't focus on too many. Like if you're gonna be really try hard and try and get better, you need to limit what you're trying to improve. Don't try and...
I know what you mean. Don't bite off more than you can chew.
Yeah, like if you want to get better, pick on one aspect and focus on that, and don't try and conquer everything at once.
Fair.
Get a gaming chair, your MMR, should go up 800.
Yeah, get a gaming chair, seriously, guys.
Get a 21:9 monitor.
Honestly, that's a
paying to
serious
win.
one. Yeah, get a widescreen monitor like Adam and just
Get a monitor so big you see the entire map at once, just on your fucking wall.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's episode 20 done and dusted. Bit of a heavy episode and an awfully long one as well, but we've got it was an awfully big topic to tackle, climbing the ranks. So I hope it was useful to some people. This is definitely
an interesting discussion.
Yeah, for sure. Interesting discussion, interesting points. And we're back on Friday with our an episode to bounce back, a bit of a fun one. We're going to be talking about fun lanes to try. Cool lanes, just fun stuff. So forget climbing next week. We're just going to be blasting into some party games with some cool lanes. So join us then. But until then, I really want to do like a university challenge exit where they say it's goodbye from Marco and Adam, and then you both say bye. And then I say it's goodbye from me, bye.
Yeah, let's go for it if you want.
No, that's all right. I won't put you through it. So I'll just say
bye.
Oh, thanks, Adam. Thanks. Actually, you've got to do it now, Marco. It's bye from Marco.
Bye-bye.
Wow, the power that I have on this pod is unbelievable. So anyway, yeah, I'll see you on Friday, guys. Peace out.
Peace out.
Megapod. Gigapod.